Look at this, it's only 1.28 inches, barely bigger than a coin, but inside this tiny round display is a full ESP32-S3 with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, a capacitive touchscreen, micro SD support, and enough power to run stunning LVGL user interfaces. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to put it to the test. I will be running 6 real applications on it, including an animated GIF player, live gauges, real-time graphs, a beautiful analog clock, and more. And one of them pushes the display so hard that it's a perfect test of what the ESP32-S3 can really handle. And the crazy part, this entire board costs around $17. That's less than what many people spend on a single ESP32 module and display separately. We will also test the touchscreen, explore the hardware, and set everything up from scratch using Arduino IDE. Now, I know what you are thinking. Is it difficult to program? No. Do I need special hardware? No. Can a beginner do this? Absolutely. All you need is a USB cable and Arduino IDE. That's it. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how to set up this board, upload code to it, and decide whether it's actually worth spending your money on. When I first saw this tiny round display, I expected a simple gadget. I was wrong. The more I tested it, the more capable it turned out to be. In fact, one demo later in this video completely changed my opinion about this board. I honestly wasn't expecting a $17 display to handle it this well. So without any further delay, let's get started. This is the box from MakerFabs, the MaTouch ESP32-S3 round SPI TFT with touch 1.28-inch display. Take a look at the back. You can already spot the red PCB, the ESP32-S3 circuitry, and the micro SD card slot that we will be using later in this video for some of the graphics demonstrations. Despite its tiny size, MakerFabs has managed to pack in a surprising amount of hardware. And here's something that makers and hardware developers are going to love. This board is completely open source. MakerFabs has provided the complete schematic, which means you are not working with a black box. You can study the design, understand how everything is connected, modify it for your own projects, or even build your own version from scratch if you want. At the front, you have the 1.28-inch round TFT display. The display driver is the GC9A01. Resolution is 240 by 240. The touch controller chip is the CST816S. It is a capacitive touch controller. You touch it with your finger, no stylus needed. At the back, you have the main processor. This is the ESP32-S3. It is a powerful dual-core chip running at 240 MHz. It has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth 5.0. You have the flash chip. This is the W25Q128JV. That is 16 megabytes of flash storage. And the ESP32-S3 R8 also has 8 megabytes of PS RAM built in. So you have a lot of memory for graphics and data. Below the board, you have the USB Type-C connector. This is for power and programming. On the side, you have a micro SD card slot. You will need this for the JPEG and GIF examples. The flash button is used when you need to put the board in bootloader mode. The reset button restarts the board. And on both sides, you have two MAB connectors. These are groove compatible connectors. So you can connect external sensors and modules without any soldering. Also on the board, there is a small connector for a 3.7 volt LiPo battery, perfect for wearable and portable projects. Before we upload any code, there is one thing I want to show you. If you have ever worked with ESP32 boards, you probably know that using the wrong software version can turn a simple project into a frustrating troubleshooting session. You upload the code and suddenly the display doesn't work, the touchscreen stops responding, or the libraries start throwing errors. To help you avoid all of this, let me show you the exact software setup I'm using for this project. I've been working with MakerFabs displays for quite some time now, and whenever I find a stable combination that works reliably, I stick with it. That way, when you follow my tutorials, you don't have to keep changing versions every time. Right now, I'm using Arduino IDE version 2.3.6 and ESP32 board package version 2.0.11. In fact, all of my recent ESP32 touch display projects have been developed and tested using these exact versions, and they have been working very well. So if you're planning to follow along and upload the same examples that I'll be running later in this video, I highly recommend using the same setup. It will save you time and help you avoid a lot of unnecessary headaches. The first thing you need to do is download the zip file from MakerFabe's official GitHub repository. This folder contains all the example projects, libraries, configuration files, and resources that come with the board. But let me be honest with you, before recording this video, I spent quite a bit of time testing all of these examples, and I ran into a few issues along the way. Now, that doesn't mean the code provided by MakerFabes is wrong. The examples were designed around a specific software setup, and in some cases you need to make changes inside the libraries to get everything working correctly. For experienced users, that's not a big deal, but for beginners it can quickly become frustrating. So instead of asking you to modify library files and troubleshoot errors, I decided to simplify the entire process. I switched from the TFT ESPI library to another display library that worked much better with my setup, and all the issues disappeared immediately. I also noticed that the repository includes a modified version of the LVGL library. However, for this video, I'm using the original LVGL library directly from the library manager, which makes installation and future updates much easier. The first library we need to install is for the touch controller. Without this library, the display will work, but the touch functionality won't respond. So let's install it now. Open the library manager and search for CST816S. You can see that I already have it installed. I'm using version 1.1.0, which is also the version recommended by MakerFabes for this board. This next library is the one that actually drives the display and handles all the graphics that you will see later in this video, including the gauges, graphs, animations, and user interface elements. Search for Arduino GFX library. As you can see, I already have it installed. I'm using GFX library for Arduino version 1.3.8, and this is the version I used while testing all of the examples you will see in this video. You will also need a few additional libraries, but I have already covered their installation and setup in my previous touch display tutorials. Rather than repeating the same steps again, I have added links to all of those videos in the related video section of the description below. And the good news is that once you have those libraries installed, you will be able to use them across many different ESP32 touch display projects, not just this one. Now that the software setup is complete, let's upload our first example and see this display come to life. But wait, before I upload any new code, let's see what MakerFabes has programmed into the board from the factory. I have just connected the USB cable, so let's power it up and see what happens. And there we go. The first thing we see is the MakerFabes logo on a clean white background. Now watch this. The display starts cycling through different colors: red, green, blue, yellow, and finally white. At first, this might look like a simple color test, but it's actually a quick way to verify that the display is working correctly and that all the pixels are responding as expected. But here's the thing, this is just the factory test. In a few minutes, we will replace it with our own code and start running much more impressive demos. So if this is what the board can do straight out of the box, let's see what happens when we unlock its full potential. So let's start with the first example, clock. Let me show you how to upload the first program. This process is the same for all the examples, so watch carefully. You only need to learn this once. To upload the program, here's what you need to do. First, go to the Tools menu, Board, ESP32, and select ESP32-S3 dev module. Go back to the Tools menu, Board, and choose the correct communication port. Next, enable the USB CDC on boot. Again to the Tools menu, Flash Size, and select 16 MB. Again go to the Tools menu, Partition Scheme, and select 16 MB Flash, the 3 MB version. And one last time, go to Tools menu, PSRAM, and select OPI PSRAM. Once these settings are done, you can simply click the Upload button. These same settings will be required for all the example programs we will test. As you can see, the program has been successfully uploaded. Our first example is now running. For such a small display, the clock actually looks really clean and surprisingly elegant. The round screen makes it feel like it was designed specifically for a smartwatch or a premium disc gadget. Notice how smooth the second hand moves around the display. There is no flickering, no visible leak, and the graphics remain crisp from every angle. What I also like is how the different colors make it easy to distinguish the hour, minute, and second hands at a glance. Considering the size of this board, the display quality is honestly impressive. Now, if this was your project, you could easily customize the colors, add a digital clock, display sensor data connected to Wi-Fi for automatic time synchronization, or even turn it into a complete smartwatch interface. Before running this example, make sure you copy this image to the root directory of your micro SD card. I have already uploaded the code, so let's see it in action. As soon as the board powers up, it loads the logo directly from the micro SD card and displays it on the screen. And if this looks familiar, that's because this is actually the same factory test program that was preloaded on the board when we first powered it up. Now that we have confirmed the display and SD card are both functioning correctly, let's move on to something a little more interesting. For example 3, you will need a few additional files along with the main Arduino sketch. Make sure gauge 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and font.h are all saved in the same folder as the .ini file. These files contain the graphics and resources used by the gauge interface, so if any of them are missing, the project won't compile correctly. I have already uploaded the code, so let's see it in action. And this is where things start to get really interesting. Unlike the previous examples, we are now looking at a proper graphical user interface with multiple animated gauges running on a tiny 1.28-inch round display. Take a look at how smooth the animations are. The needles move fluidly, the graphics are sharp, and everything fits surprisingly well on the round screen. This is exactly the kind of interface you could use in a smart dashboard, a monitoring system, a battery analyzer, a vehicle display, or any project where you need to visualize data in a clean and professional way. Now let's move on to example 4. It's actually a graphics benchmark designed to stress test the display and graphics library. The ESP32-S3 is continuously drawing text, pixels, lines, circles, triangles, arcs, and different geometric shapes while measuring how quickly each operation can be rendered. This might not look as flashy as the gauge demo, but it's actually one of the most useful tests because it tells us how responsive the display will feel in a real project. Notice how quickly the screen updates as different graphics are being drawn. For a tiny 240 by 240 display running a compact ESP32-S3 board, the performance is actually quite impressive. Now let's move on to example 5. From the name, it's pretty clear what this example is about. Before running this project, make sure you copy all of the GIF files to the root directory of your micro SD card. The program will automatically load and play them one after another. The display is now reading GIF files directly from the SD card and playing them on the screen. Honestly, this is one of my favorite examples because it instantly makes the display feel alive. What's even more impressive is that the ESP32-S3 is decoding and rendering these animations in real time while continuously loading data from the micro SD card. Notice how the board automatically switches from one animation to the next every few seconds. This opens up a lot of possibilities. You could create animated user interfaces, product displays, status screens, smart home dashboards, advertising displays, loading animation, or even custom startup screens for your own projects. Now let's move on to the final example, example number 6. Although the name says TFT ESPI demo, I'm actually not using the TFT ESPI library. I have modified the original project and converted it to use the Arduino JPEG library, which means you don't need to modify any library files to get it working. I have already uploaded the code, so let's see what this display can really do. And right away you can see the screen being filled with different graphics, textiles, colors, shapes, and animations. This demo is essentially a showcase of everything we have been testing throughout the video. We are drawing text, lines, circles, rectangles, rounded rectangles, and triangles all in real time. Notice how quickly the display updates as new shapes are rendered on the screen. What's impressive here is not just the graphics themselves, but how responsive everything feels. Even with lots of drawing operations happening big to big, the display remains smooth and responsive. This is exactly the kind of performance you want when building custom dashboards, smart home interfaces, industrial displays, wearable devices, or LVGL-based projects. For a board that costs around $17, that's honestly a lot of functionality baked into something this small. So that's all for now. Support me on Patreon for more videos. I hope you liked today's episode. Like and share this video with your friends. See you in the next episode, and thanks for watching.